react. You whispering my name, thinking I won't be the same. Turn fiction into fact. See what you didn't know, bruises that I'll never show, slipping on your every jab. So tighten up your fist, step into the ring with this. I hope your mama's got your back. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. Just 'cause I took a break, you're making a huge mistake, thinking you can take the throne. Look at you trembling, step into the lion's den. Bet you wish you stayed at home, begging for mercy underneath your breath when I ain't even sweating yet. My legend's written in the stone, yeah. You're crying age in defeat is now your only friend. Even your mama's gotta know. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 First round, fifth round, final round. Oh, yeah. First round, fifth round, final round. No, 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 no. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, oh,
Dear friends, Operator Starsky here, and this is In Time.
Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Downtime. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It is going to be a really great show today. So we have two experts in military history, and yes, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm sure Ukraine is going to come up. That's not the subject per se of this show, but if it comes up, it comes up. I'm sure there's a lot of comparisons to be drawn from historical events to where we are now. And if you guys want to ask questions, I may back out a little. I mean, I got some questions, especially after last time, and Viper mentioned the Cuban Missile Crisis. I was like, that's going to be fun. And the other thing I want to ask about, we had talked about this before, War Games was actually based on a real incident. I want to talk about some of those other incidents where it's just sort of like a commander was like, I've been ordered to launch all my nuclear weapons, but I don't think I'm going to do so. And because they decided not to do so, we're all still alive. So a few interesting discussions like that. But before we begin, I would like to do a couple of things. First, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to Greg Terry, and it's on a couple of fronts. First, he mentioned the show a lot, told people to come on over. I really appreciate that. I like working with the guy. He's a really good guy. And the other thing is, it's rare to find somebody who is as dedicated and professional as he is. He and I have coordinated shows together, and he's always, knows what he's doing, right on time, right on top of it, and gets things done. And you can just tell by the way he gets into Ukraine and does what he's supposed to do. I'm sure Viper's experience has been the same. I'm going to ask Viper to talk a little bit about meeting Greg Terry too, because I think everybody here would. I think most of us would be like, it'd be kind of cool to meet the guy. So we'll talk about that. But I really do want to thank him for all his support and help on that front. I'd also like to thank Blonde Bombsheller, who has done a lot of coordinating between the channels and helping us get Viper and get all of that coordinated. She's put up with a little gentle ribbing from hosts of channels like, say, perhaps in time. Things happened. I don't know, how or where, but I'm sure it was all good-natured and not anything worth, calling up your friends in the Ukrainian military and telling them my home address, kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking, at least. That's one man's opinion. So, and then I want to mention before we do the super chats, and we're going to get into the super chats in a sec, because we've already got a lot. I wanted to mention tomorrow we are going to have Kafir back on again. That will also be the full panel of Isandring, Commander, and myself. Kafir is a former member of the Israeli Defense Force who, during his tenure there, dramatically changed his opinion about Israel and its place in the Middle East. We have had him on once previously. We're going to have him back on again to discuss what appears to be the collapse of Netanyahu's far right-wing government, or at least the impending collapse, what he's hoping for, what he's looking for, and what to expect next. So that will be Kafir tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope you guys will mark that. Like, subscribe, join. It really helps us out. We get demonetized a lot. We talk about war, we talk about the military, and we don't hold any punches, so we get demonetized. It could really help. Today, you're not going to be able to help us out as much as usual. And the reason is, in time, we are a news organization. We do not do fundraisers. On occasion when we have guests like Viper on, and you guys who were there, we've had Starsky on probably about 40 or 50 times. And with Starsky, we just, as our way of showing appreciation, we just said super chats would go to the charity of his choice. We have done that here with Viper. Any super chats that we get, whatever revenue we get from that, will go directly to the charity of his choice. He has chosen drone fundraising for his unit. That fundraiser, as far as I understand it, has already done really rather well. It's getting close to its goal. So, I'll absolutely wish him luck with that. I think, let's see, there is a link to that in the description and pinned to the top. So you can always go to those and donate directly, or just super chat. And YouTube does take out a percentage of the super chats, but the rest today, all of it, 100%, is going to go towards Viper's drone fund, which is to get the Mavic 3 Pro T drones. We've discussed before why they're important, and we'll probably discuss it once more before the end. But that's it. So just so you guys know, that's how we're doing today's show. We've had a whole bunch of super chats. So Papa Dutch gave 4 members. Papa Dutch, thank you very much. Those memberships really help. $2 for my 2 cents from Papa Dutch. 2 cents. I bet you we're going to hear more. Speaking of, that was the other thing I was thinking about. We've had Greg Terry on Downtime before, and it was a learning experience. I found the first human being who can out-talk me. Yeah, that was that was fun. We got to do that again. But yeah, I know, right? It was Sinister Porpoise, $5.12. No need to donate boring amounts that you can't multiply by 100 to get a power of 2. Our resident computer scientist there, making sure that a lesson is learned with every super chat. Thank you very much for that. $2 from Papa Dutch. Who says porpoise doesn't have a purpose? First of all, I told you that wasn't your only 2 cents. And second of all, and thank you. And that was genuinely funny. UCV and Ham, member for 5 months. Virtual support for those who need some. Thank you so much. You know what? It's those of us who do this, everybody does it for a different reason. But all of us like hearing that the work is appreciated, and we like it when people take the time to hit the like, subscribe, and do all that other stuff, because it helps us out, and it just shows that you appreciate the channel. So thank you so much for that. Dunk on you, $20.48. Okay, now who's next? Papa Dutch 5. You better, you bet. Name that song. Okay. Oh, please tell me you can name that song. Please tell me somebody on the panel can. I know the song is I Love You. You better. I think it's I Love You. Yeah.
It's the Who. I don't know the names of various songs, but I'm pretty certain it's the Who.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go with the Who, Papa Dutch. That's where we're going.
So who is it?
The Who.
No, don't fall. Don't fall for Viper. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it, Viper. It's a trap.
Who?
Viper.
No, really, who is it?
What?
Who?
I know, that's what I'm asking.
It's you. It's that new Mongolian throat singing rock band.
Hey, they're pretty good.
They are.
I've seen them.
All right, nope, that's it. I'm hitting the mute button on Isandring. Isandring, it's been a nice show, but really you need to just...
He muted himself. That's amazing. Nick, wrong button.
I'm gonna.
I do know that he's wearing a colored shirt.
Wrong implies morality. That was not the wrong button. It was not the chosen button. Different issue. I don't do wrong thing. You know what?
Green button.
You should have known it was. You should have known it was the wrong button. It didn't have enough midi-chlorians next to it. Definitely not the chosen button.
Definitely not the exactly.
Like I teach it my grandma to answer a phone. Omi, press the green button. Oma, green button.
I would try to mute you, but I'm a little scared now of what's going to happen. I'll probably eject myself from the show.
I do know where you live. Remember.
I know. I can't believe Blonde Bombsheller actually. I said this is OPSEC, and she's like, yeah, and then she's like, yeah, but it's Viper. I was just like, son of a.
Yeah, just remember, I might just mistaken you for a goat, and it's gonna be.
And we're back to goats. There are people in the live chat who are going to try to assassinate that goat. Next year, I swear to God. I just want to say the goat made it. Humanity endured.
I'll just send you the video feed from the drone. We can do it live. No problem.
You can show the poor goat. Why does everybody want to murder the innocent, poor little goat?
Why are you so obsessed with the goat?
Because it's about happiness and love and the Christmas spirit, you son of a bitch.
Of course, that's what everybody thinks of when they think of goats. Happiness.
No, it's the Yule goat. It's Sweden's Yule goat that for some reason every year they build out of straw, and people say, "Hey, what can we do to set this thing on fire?" And it's been hit with napalm. Somebody drove a car into it. Somebody tried to someone hijacked a helicopter and actually tried to run off with it. Somebody else did get it. Nobody knows how they got it, but they found the guy because the thing is 30 feet tall and it was in his backyard.
Nobody will ever see it there.
Yeah, no. But every year, so for Downtime, we had the goat. We had the live stream of the goat for Downtime. I was just like, we should actually have that on In Time too, because it's kind of cool. And I was like, no, because on In Time we talk about like real serious stuff. And if we're like, if there was a school shooting, and we're talking about the school shooting on in time, and then somebody burns down the goat. I'm just like that would be awkward. So we never put the goat up on in time, but the goat was on downtime. So what's the story behind the goat? You know what? If we have the story behind the goat, I'll play
Please
it.
not now. Otherwise, we're gonna be busy for like half an hour. Just
No. The 1 minute. The 1 minute. There is like a 1 minute thing on the goat. If we've got it, I will play it. It's hilarious. But maybe what I should do. Okay, hold on a sec. Now is this it? No, it's not it. So I don't think we have it. Sorry, no goat thing. Yeah, I may have the video here if I'll find it. It was started by a 1 minute short video. So if we can find that, I'll do that. Michelle Ferguson, $4.99. Nice shirt, Nick. Thank you. Finally. Let's see.
We're just glad to see you got all your clothes on.
Have you ever heard of texting before calling?
No, what's that?
$5, Papa Dutch. I moved myself and my family aside if we happen to be left alive. Slava Ukraine.
Slava.
Darian Vaughn, $2.99. You look good. You look good, Nick. Your wife dressed you. See, there was no way that somebody was just going to give me a compliment. At in Time Independent News. This is why I zeroed in on Greg Terry eventually because it's the most direct way to do something. I think so. We're not a charitable organization. We're a news organization. We like to donate and help when we can. But for us, it's about news. And one thing that I fell in love with Greg when he started giving even the bad information on Ukraine. I was like, okay, he really is telling it like it is. That's for me. That was the biggie. Was the accurate giving of the information. You cannot function if you don't have accurate information. Which brings us back to Mavic 3 drones. Anyways, $2.
Yes,
Papa.
That is when the So yes, that is when the bromance did in fact start.
Yes, and bromance may be a bit much. I don't know. We'll see. $2 Papa Dutch. I'm also NAFO fella. $20 Linda H for the drone fund. Thank you so much. Papa Dutch, another $5. It seldom happens that I disrupt an entire channel. Try the other button, Matt. I'd like to know why it is that this is my channel, ostensibly, presumably. At least Titan tells me it's mine. If Titan tells me it's mine, then presumably he's letting me have it. And I get the least respect of anybody on the friggin' channel. Dunk on You, 4069 for Viper, power of 2 donations. Dunk on You, thank you so much, and everybody, by the way. This Papa Dutch, Dunk on You, Michelle Ferguson, UTK and Ham. Yeah, that was always. You guys have just been stellar, so thank you guys so much. I'm almost done with these. $2. Quote, noticed that, did you? Not sure what that one means. And then the Sinister Porpoise, $2.56. Very cute. Capra delendum. I have no idea what that means either. For someone who's pretty educated, I have no idea what's going on. Perhaps we should put the show in somebody else's hands. All right. So, having gotten through all of those,
I'm stuffed.
Having gotten through, Isandring, mute. I would mute you, but that does not turn out well for me. So you're going to have to just self-mute.
Did I unmute?
I heard you ordering something.
Stuffed. It's okay. We understand.
Not getting me anything from what I could tell.
I had my headset on mute. I didn't think you guys would actually hear that. No, I get random people are coming up offering food, and I'm like, no, we're in the middle of the California desert, and I don't know you. I really don't want your chili cheese fries.
They're more than welcome my way.
I just feel so bad throwing away so much food. You sure you don't want them? Thanks, no.
All right. So,
Yeah, I just watch out that it's not laced or something.
well, I think
in the middle of nowhere without anything.
Rest assured that the chunky bits are not ground glass.
fool. So, and we've got a couple more. We will get to those super chats, and I'm disappointed because the goat thing was really hilarious, and I remember deleting it a short while ago. So unless it's somewhere here, we're probably not going to have it. So I had asked last time Viper was here. I'd asked what was your favorite battle, and in terms of something that was significant, and everybody brought something interesting to the table, I thought. But we also mentioned that at one point, more than one point, unfortunately, the world really did come very close to launching nuclear weapons, in most cases by accident. So I was wondering if either Lance or Viper could think of an example of one. I know the one, I have a vague idea of the one on which the movie War Games is based on, which is based on an actual event. NORAD thought that we were getting attacked by the Soviet Union.
There are actually a number of incidents that are like that, where what ends up happening, it's either a new piece of equipment that hasn't been calibrated properly, so it generates a false signal, or somebody inserts a training program into the machine erroneously, and everybody sees the training program showing this launch of nuclear weapons and assumes, oh, that must be the real picture.
Yeah.
So,
the thing that stuns me about it is how many times that happens, and you think after the first time a training program got inserted, everybody'd say, okay, all training programs for these early warning radars are now under lock and key, and you must follow the following procedures before you put one in to do training. But no, we have to wait until we almost blow the world up several times before we go, maybe not a bright idea.
The thing that really shocks me is how many times the fate of like all of humanity on this planet boiled down to one person, a singular person that just went, nah, I don't think so.
Just ignore the evidence.
Petrov.
Yeah, every evidence we have right now is telling us we're about to be annihilated by nuclear weapons, and one person went, I'm just not buying it.
So yeah, I know there was a Russian general version. Yeah, you guys have to talk about that story. The only one I know was the one that War Games was based off of. I think it was President Johnson, LBJ, where NORAD did. They had actually done a training simulation, and they had the tapes in these round reels. It's the reel-to-reel thing, and they'd put up a training tape. They had done their training, and then they forgot to switch out the tapes. And the next day, when they ran the thing, it did a full simulated Russian attack. So they're going through. They're thinking that we're getting attacked by Russia, and they keep kicking it up the chain of command. Finally, it gets to the most senior, general, who calls the chief of staff and says, you have to wake up the president. We've got about 15 minutes for him to make a decision on how we're going to reply. We're under a full-scale attack. And he said, could you really check on that for me? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense. He goes, no, we've already checked. It's happening. He said, I need you to get back to me. Check again. And they says, I will call you back in 60 seconds. Guy hangs up. 60 seconds. Yep, it's real. You now have a minute less, and you have to wake the president. Like, okay. these missiles are going to have to fly over Andrews Air Force Base, right? Yeah, and they can confirm them by radar, right? Yeah, it's like, we're going to wait, call Andrews Air Force Base, and just see what the hell's going on. And they wait, and sure enough, the missiles show that they're flying over Andrews Air Force Base, and Andrews is like, we got nothing on radar, dude. And like, okay. I could just imagine the adrenaline pumping through the chief of staff when he puts that phone down. He's like, holy shit, that was about the worst phone call you can get in your life. It was like, I should have stayed in bed. Of course, if he had stayed in bed, we might have had World War III. But so that's the one. What was the one? I know, Commander, you had mentioned it, where basically U.S. and a whole bunch of allies did training exercises and forgot to tell the Russians.
Yeah, and it's more complicated than that. It's an interwoven series of weird events that all happen at the same time. So tensions are already ratcheted way up there, and then suddenly somebody reports something wrong and everybody overreacts. But what it amounted to is the Russians had put a program in place called RYAN, R-Y-A-N. Ryan, we mispronounce it. The purpose of that was to give them advance warning of a preemptive attack by NATO and or the U.S. And they had all sorts of agents embedded deeply in NATO command structure organizations and watching airfields and everything. And so this is occurring about the same time that 𝐒𝐬𝐜𝐴 flight is shot down. It's like a week or two later. And the U.S. had scheduled a war game. And we, because of things that we learned before, we always told the Russians when we were having a war game. Except the Russians immediately always assumed that anything you're telling us has got to be a lie or a cover for something. So they all assumed that, oh, okay, this is this war game is really a ruse because we're already at heightened tensions. So that all occurs as we're starting this big exercise called Able Archer. This, I believe, in '79. And as part of that, we're sending aircraft and troops from U.S. bases to Europe. That's part of the exercise. We also immediately change all our communications procedures that we normally have in place in NATO and USER and so forth. We change those over to a wartime setting. Yeah. So all this is happening, increased tensions. The Russian agents start telling their guys, hey, they're getting ready to attack. They're getting ready to attack. And the U.S. and NATO are completely oblivious to this. They have no idea that what the Russians are seeing is interpreted as a real world preparation for a tough attack. So the Russians start ratcheting up their readiness condition, kind of like what we do with DEFCON. They're doing their version of that. And nobody in NATO or the U.S. detects that they're doing this. And it's only at the point that a officer who worked for the Bundeswehr, who was an agent for the Russians, reported back to the Russians, this is just an exercise. This is not a real world preparation for attack. And they finally listened to him, and that's when they start standing down. And it's not until months later that we finally cool into the fact that they were literally getting ready to start World War III because they were sure we were about to conduct a preemptive attack.
Yeah.
That happens way too often. I don't know, any interesting historical stories, Viper, that you have? I mean, I've got one. But it involves goats, so it's going to be either you or me.
That's going to be very interesting. Commander can maybe tell me a little bit more, but about the spy plane that was shot down in the late 80s on Russian soil. I think that was a very interesting one.
Yeah.
Well, that was another interesting one too, because at the time, and I've forgotten his name. I think he was a captain, but he blamed Lee Harvey Oswald, who had been a radar operator, for knowing the height. You said in the 80s, so this would have had to have been.
It was when the Blackbird program just started, if I'm not mistaken. There was a American spy plane shot, busy with photography over the Soviet Union.
Yeah, that
was actually. Yeah, that's earlier. I think it's in the 60s. Also, not Austin.
Captain Powers. Yeah.
It was 60s then.
Yeah. So then.
Think quickly, what was the exact plane that was shot down? It's not. I think it was like the stratosphere. It flew extremely high, though.
I think it was the U-2 spy plane that got shot down.
It was the U-2. It was flying at 72,000 feet.
And it's 60s.
In the 60s, it was Captain Powers, and what happened was he was held by the Russians for a short period of time, and when he got out, one of the things he had noted was this was Lee Harvey Oswald was actually already in the papers by this point, and people forget this, which was people in the 60s actually knew who he was because he defected. He was, I think he was a Marine who operated a radar base in Alaska. And the interesting thing is, because he operated a radar base in Alaska, he would know roughly the altitude that a U-2 spy plane would fly at. And the Russians had no idea, which made it a lot harder to hit one because they didn't know the altitude. And they said so Captain Powers knew that Oswald had given up his U.S. citizenship, become a Soviet Soviet citizen, and claimed that the only way, and nobody knows for sure, but he said the only way the U-2 could possibly have been hit was if Lee Harvey Oswald had given them the information they needed to hit it. Is that roughly accurate, Commander?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And then Lee Harvey Oswald goes and that's one of my only arguments for there had to be other involvement in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And the reason was, at the height of the Cold War, a military officer, Lee Harvey Oswald, gives up his U.S. citizenship, goes to Russia, credibly is responsible for the shooting down of a U-2. There's no way to know. Captain Powers just made this claim. But Captain Powers knew who the guy was because he was famous, because he had defected to Russia. He had been in the papers already. Then he comes back and is issued a brand new U.S. passport. Doesn't get arrested. The military, the CIA, FBI doesn't want to talk to him about what he was doing in Russia. Just gets a brand new passport. Like, oh, you're back. Well, we all make mistakes. And then he goes to Dallas. I'm just like,
he's going door to door in Dallas, passing out communist literature.
Would your dad have any guesses as to what he was, his real occupation?
First off, he wasn't an officer. I think the highest Oswald ever got was like private first class or something. He's very junior enlisted. But yeah, he does a bunch of really squirrely things, and what's remarkable is for an era where we're still living with the repercussions of McCarthyism in this country. This guy who marries a Russian, who has defected to Russian, renounced his U.S. citizenship, and then comes back and is passing out communist literature and everything. Nobody in an authority position feels that he needs to be, brought in and questioned. It's just you can't help but wonder if something's going on.
Yeah.
No. Tommy, and then also the declassification now with JFK. Sorry, I know it's not military, but it's very interesting. The declassification of the JFK file.
I'm curious
that Trump
about
did recently.
That is really interesting. I would like to look at that. I mean, the fact that they keep pushing, that was supposed to be declassified like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and then they pushed it back and they keep pushing it back. And that's something I'd like to look at. I got fascinated with the JFK assassination, and in part because of the Oswald thing, I was just like, there's no way that there wasn't government ties to Oswald. And the fact that he was assassinated before he could render any kind of defense or even open his mouth as to his perspective on what happened was also rather suspicious. Assassinated by a mobster who said, well, I didn't want the family to have to suffer through a trial. It's like, well, that's awfully kind of you, Mr. What were you going to say, Commander? It looks like you were going to...
No, I'm just laughing.
So I took a fascination with it a while ago. Part of me is, and here's the other thing that many people don't realize. The Supreme Court was asked to weigh in on what happened, and they led by Chief Justice Earl Warren, they reached the conclusion that Oswald acted alone. The legislative branch, so Congress, had their own select committee on assassinations and reached the conclusion that he didn't. And that's something that most people don't realize. Congress reached the conclusion he did not act alone. By definition, a conspiracy. The only branch that hasn't weighed in is the executive branch. But there 2 out of 3 branches of government disagree on whether or not Oswald acted alone. It's interesting when you get into it and get past the real conspiratorial. I know how maybe a shot came in by moving a tree with a rope and yeah.
Well, what's truly fascinating to me is we still discuss this on a regular basis in this country, even though we're more than 60 years past the event.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's because a lot of people don't feel that there was a legitimate effort made to figure out what had happened. And the lack of transparency, which at the time they were doing the investigations made sense. There was a lot of sensitive stuff in there. But since then, you'd figure they would have declassified it so people can look at it and say, yeah, this was a legitimate effort to, do an investigation of the event or whatever. And the fact that they constantly, decided they're not going to share it with the public just yet, or only share parts of it with heavy redaction, stuff like that. It's almost impossible not to come away with the sense that there was some sort of conspiracy.
Well, and that's why I'm not as excited as I could be. I mean, I think first of all, I think Trump had said if he ever gets into office, he's going to declassify everything we know about aliens and everything we know about the JFK assassination. And there is that lurid part of me that's just like, oh my God, wow, finally somebody was willing to do.
And what about the investigation as to whether or not Elvis is still alive?
Well, come on. We're not going to get into crazy conspiracy theories. Everybody knows he's still alive. But that's the problem, is if it's being released by the U.S. government, and really, in order for there to have been a conspiracy and any kind of cover-up, then at least elements of, and I think people get confused about that, whether the U.S. government was involved and or whether it was just elements of rogue. It's not like the CIA sat there and said, oh, but if 1 or 2 people at the CIA said, anyways. So the question is, can we actually trust? So I guess that's what, because you bring up that it really is interesting, Viper. I really have been looking forward to that release. They pushed it back so far that I'd be long gone before. I was like, so everybody who could have done anything wrong would have been in the grave for 20 years by the time they were going to release it, and now they've released it. But can we actually trust that it's going to say that it's going to tell us anything honest?
I doubt. I highly doubt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Just because it bears like a goat, it doesn't mean it is a goat.
For fucking... Okay, the goat thing was a Yule goat. It's now 23 days past the time when they took the friggin' thing.
Conspiracy.
Oh, okay. Okay. For those of you who want to know what we're talking about.
You're covering this up, Suitor. You are. You know.
Sure. Isn't it part of the Illuminati?
Ooh. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
Oh,
no,
yes.
No. This is okay. All right. Just no.
So I like throw stones in a bush. It's my favorite thing to do.
All right.
Hey, and the Rosicrucians too. Let's throw them into the mix.
We do have we had on Dr. Conspiracy. He got his PhD in philosophy with a concentration in conspiracy theories. The problem we had this was you can't make this up. We had him on, and he said the only conspiracy theories I can't discuss is COVID. I can't discuss that. I was just like, why not? He goes, because I work at the University of Wuhan, China. And I was just like, that's a pretty good fucking reason.
Very, very good reason.
Yeah. So, and it's like it's like that Russian joke that we had. I said, I think last time he was here, where the first Russian stands up and says, "Hey, we don't have free speech," and the second Russian says, "You can't say that," and the next day both were gone. It's like you can't. He's like, I can't even speak it to debunk it. He goes, it is a conspiracy theory. It's been debunked. I can't. He goes, so we all had to agree. So it was a little awkward because we're sitting here, we're a news program, we're talking about all these conspiracy theories during fucking COVID. And the only one we couldn't talk about was COVID because this guy was one of the most qualified people to discuss conspiracy theories on the planet. I mean, there's written books on it. Is currently teaching at the University of Wuhan. It's just like, fuck. How do we get these guests?
It's 32.
All right, so we got a bunch of super chats. I don't like what I'm seeing in the super chat. Where are our friggin' mods? Where are our mods? The super chat our entire chat has been taken over by flaming goats. I didn't even know this was an emoji. Wow.
Look at the finest goods.
Okay. Aussie T. Really, Aussie? Really? A2 Aussie T? A2?
What's...
okay, we got it. Finally, Sinister's... Wait, what does that say? More goats, please. My own mom... Titan and I are going to have to sit down and discuss moderation policy on In Time. We're going to have a very serious moderation discussion. Broadcast Cat, why do you have such viewers? I don't know. I blame Greg Terry. I bet you it's he's the one who told everyone to come over here. All right. Nick. Now my own friggin' co-host. Hey, you're a guest here today. You don't co-host this one. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give a very brief 60-second rundown on the GOAT thing as I look at the super chats, which is probably completely covered by now in GOATs. And so here we go.
In Sweden, the city of Gävle, yes, Gävle, erects a giant goat statue out of wood and straw for Christmas time. And every year, the townspeople do everything in their power to burn it down. No, it's not legal. The city tries really, really hard to keep this from happening, and has turned every Christmas season into a month-long game of attack and defend for nearly 60 years. And oh boy do they attack! So far, out of the 59 goats ever built, only 18 have managed to survive the whole month. One had a car driven into it, one was burnt down 6 hours after it was built, 1 year they doused it in fireproof material and it got burned down, one had a bunch of seeds trapped in the straw so it was literally eaten by birds, one was stolen by a random guy and put in his backyard, and there was another attempt to illegally carry it to Stockholm via helicopter that failed because life was becoming too fun. In spite of fences and security cameras and fireproofing and apparently the military, the city has failed to suppress the indomitable human spirit that just so happens to be unfortunately weaponized into committing arson. As of right now, the GOAT for 2024 is up, with a 24-hour live stream on the Gävle tourism site, of course to deter arsonism, slowly waiting for its fate.
And it's worth noting that That goat made it, but the previous year somebody hacked the live cam so that they could burn down the goat. Nobody knew who did it because the live cam was just on a loop. They literally did just like put one of those mirrors in front of the live cam, just go murder the goat and leave. And now that Sniper's on the job, I mean, this year I was Team Goat, and I was just like, so we actually had a poll going on the Discord. Join the Discord, by the way, if you haven't. You can keep up with all our we have actually more non-goat related material that's very interesting, and you can just go to the live chat or go to the Discord. Trust me, it's not all goats. But we did have a poll. Only 2 people believed the goat was going to make it, and I was one of them. The other one was the poll always starts with 1 person, and it doesn't matter. It counts as 2 people. And we won, by the way. So
fun.
The goat made it. So let's see. Wow. Okay. So OCT 256. Thank you, team. Didn't know you could do this. Papa Dutch. And that's 256 Australian, 256 being a reference, I suspect, to sinister porpoises earlier. 256, the highest number a bite can go. Thank you for that. Papa Dutch, $5. This is actually playing out like a giant round of snooker. Viper, what's a snooker?
Snooker.
It says snooker. Yeah.
A pool, but just on a bigger table. We play snooker.
Oh, okay. Okay. $4.99. Darian Vaughn.
You're still completely lost.
I'm still completely lost, but thank you.
It's
okay.
Pool. It's pool for British people.
Pool for British people. Yeah.
Red, white balls.
Yeah, thank you. I've heard of it. Here's the thing. I'm really not that bright a guy. What I do is I surround myself with other bright people. I let them talk, and then I agree with everything they say, and people are like, wow, Nick's a really smart guy. This tactic usually works unless I have a co-host/guest who decides to point out when I move on. I move on because I have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, but I don't want anyone else to figure that out. And then you call me out on it. Really? Really, Isandring?
Yeah, it was getting a little too cozy in here between the liberal and the conservative, so we had to spice things up a little.
The way to do that is to make the liberal look like a... Okay, I see how it is. So let's see. Playing a giant round of snooker. That it isn't what it sounds like to me. But at any rate, Darren Vaughn, $4.99. Cover Trump executive orders, particularly birthright citizenship. Oh, okay. We are planning a show on that. We've been trying to figure out how we're going to cover this, and we've decided what we're going to do is we are going to break down all of the executive orders, because he's issued some new ones, and we're going to break them down into groups. One group is going to be hilarious ones that you do not have to worry about in the slightest. That is going to fall into it, and the reason is that is built into the Constitution. Nothing he says or does can have any impact on that whatsoever. It's not.
The judge has already stated, and there is a legal argument that the 14th Amendment doesn't cover birthright or citizenship based solely off of being born in the United States because of the pesky little words and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So it's going to go through the courts, and I think it's going to end up at the Supreme Court, and we're going to have a definitive answer as to whether the 14th Amendment does in fact cover anybody, regardless of circumstance, that is born in the United States. But a judge has stayed that executive order already.
I didn't realize that they were trying to invalidate at least invalidate for some people. So naturalized citizens would not be covered by the 14th versus those who were. No, it couldn't be born here because he ended. Clearly, we're going to have to cover that one too now. All right, we're taking that one out of the we're not going to cover it box. You see, this is why I said I surround myself with people who know more than I do. And usually it works great until people pull back the curtains and say, "Who's this guy running the show?" You know what? We're going to cover that in a minute because that's important. But what we're going to do is we're going to cover everything pertaining to immigration, everything pertaining to the economy, and everything pertaining to conquering other countries such as Mexico, Canada, and Greenland, or Denmark. Denmark. So we're gonna break it up that way. Yeah.
NATO, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really.
So, are you going to cite with who Article 5 is going to be used, or? Well,
I will tell you honestly. Okay. I know.
No, the schematics behind it. How's it going to work?
Any number of ways, and I think Commander will back me up on this. I know that you have the occasional gripe with Americans. Further, I know that on occasion those gripes are completely valid. As an American, I am so fucking offended by what he is doing to our allies. I don't give a shit if the tariffs are just a bargaining ploy. You don't bargain that way with your friends. You do bargain that way with people. You do not bargain that way with Canada. You don't bargain that way with Mexico. You don't threaten Mexico's sovereignty. You don't imply that Canada, would be lucky to be a state in a fuck all of those things. I think Denmark should invoke Article 5 because we have threatened them, and just do it, and then everyone else can say okay. And I think it should be accepted, and then every country can give the aid that is necessary, because it doesn't have to necessarily be military aid. So they can send Denmark $5, but symbolically we can say, okay, a NATO country has just had because we are not acting that different than Russia right before it fucking attacks countries like Ukraine. We haven't attacked anybody, but that's very cold comfort when we're talking the way we are. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Especially when there's such a better way of doing that.
Yeah, so I have more right to be pissed than foreigners because it's my fucking country. Shouldn't be doing this shit. What were you going to say, Commander?
Yeah, but now he's speaking about trade lanes and shit. He's talking nonsense, man. He's behind the resources that's in Greenland. That's what he's about. I mean, yes, he has to wait another probably 60 years for the ice to melt. But, I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I was going to say, the Article 5 thing kind of has a precedent. If you look at the 1974 war between Greece and Turkey, both of whom are NATO members, it gets a little squirrely because the two countries didn't face off directly against one another. They used proxy forces on Cyprus to do it, and then sent in their own forces to back up those Cypriot groups. And but there was a lot of question about what would happen if one side or the other tried to invoke Article 5 in that case. And it's something that I don't think the NATO alliance has ever really done a good job of addressing how this really is going to play out if it happens.
Yeah, if you have England and France, what will happen?
Yeah. Now, the Turks did kind of learn a lesson, because the main thing was that their forces at the time were all allocated to specific NATO missions. And so when they tried to get ready to send substantial forces to Cyprus to back their side up, they were told, you can't do that. These are our NATO forces. You don't have command over them. And the commander of NATO does. So immediately after that war came to an end, the Turks built an entire separate army corps that had no affiliation with NATO whatsoever, that they could deploy as they wished, whenever they wanted.
For me, first of all, most everybody alive is really lucky to be alive in this time, because actually poverty is, as a percentage of the population of this planet, lower than it's ever been. Life expectancy is higher than it's ever been. There are plenty of places where poverty is just breathtakingly horrific. But we can see those places because we have more technology than we've ever had before, and we have more power to solve these problems than we've ever had. The U.S. is economically the strongest country on the planet. It is militarily the strongest country on the planet. This is a privilege, not a right. And it's come through genuine hard work, a lot of luck, happening to be on a continent that, for the most part, we stole and gave us a lot of advantages. Okay, so how do we pay that forward instead of just sitting on our asses saying we're going to tell everyone else what to do? And by the way, a rising tide does help all boats. So if we sit there and work with our allies and try to create more allies, one of the biggest reasons we should be in Ukraine is because the more Western, like Poland got Westernized. Now look at the success. What happens when we westernize more countries? We get more allies. What happened? The difference between how we treated Japan after World War II versus how we treated Germany after World War I shows what happens when a country takes power as a responsibility, not as a right. So I think we should have Article 5 invoked against just for making threats against Canada. We need a kick in our complacency. It just pisses me off. Sorry for the. I'm just.
No, but do you honestly think Trump acknowledges the power of Article 5 or NATO for that matter?
No, he'll probably pull out on NATO. So you've got a legit point, which is even if it happens, and frankly, for MAGA, it won't mean anything. The only thing that's going to mean anything for MAGA is when prices start going up, and they're already starting to go up, and they're going to go up fast, given what he's doing. Once that happens, they'll feel betrayed. You're right. You're right. Everything I just said probably wouldn't help, because the people who would recognize it as a problem are the people who are just as pissed at Trump as I am. So that's you're right. And Trump's not going to recognize it. Trump. If anybody disses Trump in any way, they become meaningless to him. It doesn't matter who they are or what they are. So if NATO says, we're going to give you some back talk, and then he's just like, okay, we'll leave NATO. Let's see. Aussie T, this is 512. This is cool and for a good cause. Double the value. Quick reminder, tonight, all of the revenue that comes into In Time from your super chats is going to the charity of the guest's choice. The guest is Viper. And Isandring is a guest because he does not co-host this show. So he should maybe treat people with dignity and respect, at least the host, at least one of the hosts. No, treat both the hosts with dignity. Almost. Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Don't treat that one then with it, but he doesn't care. At any rate, Viper has chosen a fund that is going to supply his unit with Mavic drones. These are the Mavic 3 Pro with thermals. We've covered it before on this show. We'll probably cover it one more time before we go. I think most people here know what it is and why. But that's all super chats are going to be for today. That's where they're going. Having said that, subscribe is free and will definitely help us. A few people have donated memberships. Thank you very much for that. And we're also still trying to grow as a channel. But we wanted to have Viper on and decided that when we have on good guests like him, we like to try to pay it forward. So that's what we're going to do.
Are you saying because I know where you live, or are you saying it sincerely? I just want to ask. I just want to clarify that.
Viper.
Okay. Okay.
You wound him to the core.
I don't even know what to say. How could you think that, good sir? that I would put up cameras, lock all my doors, and set up a perimeter around my house once I realized that you know where I live.
I would, if I were you, I would start investing in a good drone jammer. Yeah.
I have to thank you. You have completely swapped Nick's mind on the Second Amendment.
You have.
He is now all in favor of give me the guns, all of them.
Well, no, I'm gonna listen. Isandring is on the road basically 24/7. Nobody knows where the CIA would have a hard time finding him. I have no doubt if Viper put his mind to it, he'd get it done. It'd just take a little while because
simple. Isander has got a semi, so he's on the move the whole time. But that semi is insured, and the insurance will have a tracking device on it, and the tracking device can be hacked. Simple.
My insurance does not have a tracking device on my.
Okay, well, then wife has got a tracking device on your.
I guess if you can hack my iPad, you could.
Do not give him any idea. Zip it.
It wouldn't be that overly difficult to.
It would at least give me time.
So far in a day.
I am just saying that I can at least make it a little harder for him to come in and avenge the limericks that perhaps I was tired. I was making a lot of limericks in Candy's live stream. Okay. Papa Dutch, $5. Military hopefulism. They won't do that. You think? I think that's pertaining to the launching nukes or the invasion of some country, whichever one we're planning on invading tomorrow. Papa Dutch, $5. This is beginning to sound like AM Coast to Coast. Insert weird sci-fi music here. Yeah, this is starting to go down the rabbit hole on. There's interesting stuff behind the JFK thing. Papa Dutch, again, $5. Papa Dutch, thank you so much for all of your donations, and I also want to make sure again we'll give Viper a chance to say thank you to everybody too, because again they're going to him. So thank you. We appreciate it. It's we have a guest on who gets the benefit of it, and we're very happy for that. So thank you very much. East of the Rockies, west of the Rockies, on the wild card line. Quote. Okay, that's a quote. So that may have some significance. I'm not sure. And then $2. This is art. I have a feeling Papa Dutch I'm missing something. If Papa Dutch wants to explain in the live chat what this is, I'll keep an eye out on the live chat. And then it popped up because someone else. Michelle Ferguson. Oh, I can't read that one. No, I can't read that one. Nope. I'm not. No, I'm ignoring that one. Isandring, am I contractually obligated to read YouTube super chats?
Yes.
Let me look.
I didn't ask you, Viper.
Listen, Titan, your Inus is going to block you.
Yes, he will. Wow, Viper's learning our show better than. Yes, according to the end-time charter. Yeah.
Yes, Article 1, Section 4. You did put in there that we were obligated to read all super chats.
We are going to have to rewrite the charter. Okay, this one is goat, flame, goat, flame.
Thanks, Michelle.
Hey, I'm reading super chat. This is serious business. Can I get to reading the super chats without you just?
It's just I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, K&K, I believe you are, Nick. Yeah, I think I am. You better. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Okay. I read it. The emojis don't count as a super chat. Lovely. I think I'll use the time to get another beer. That's another $5 from Papa Dutch. $2 from K&K for the Goat Accelerant Fund. I don't ask the chat for a lot of things, but peace and love and appreciation.
It up in the first place.
I wasn't the one who brought it up in the first place. It was brought up by the live chat, And then Viper just had to jump on it and was like, I'm getting the goat next year because he already knows. And he's just like, it's going to take a drone and that's it.
It's going to be easy. It's actually not.
Oh, he's planning like he's going to take half the live chat. I know they're all like, oh, we're going to coordinate with Viper. We're going to just take a trip down there. And I'm just like, and then they're going to like let me know so that I can see it on the live stream.
I told you, I will take video footage and actually let you log in so that you can see it happening.
It's nice to have such lovely people surrounding me. All right. Sinister Porpoise, 255. The highest number, 8 bits, can represent. Yes, it's not 256. That was, of course, because of a 0. It's 256 numbers, but 0 is a number. Excuse me. Okay, I covered the Goat Accelerant Fund. I covered the beer. I covered the Dunk on You, more for Viper and thermal drones. Goat, 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 goat. I'm starting not to like anyone in our live chat. Papa Dutch, $2. Ronnie O'Sullivan is still amazing. I'll take your word for that. Who's Ronnie O'Sullivan? Anyone know? Papa Dutch, you're gonna have to explain a lot of these. It's going over everybody's head. Papa Dutch, can a standing UN member considered to be permanent be disbarred because of okay? Lance and I have covered this before. I'll give the quick rundown, and Lance can correct me and or add to it. The only hypothetical way to get rid of a permanent member that I can think of is to eject them from the UN. So you eject them from the UN, then allow them back in. But now that they're coming back in, they're no longer a member of the Security Council. It's actually not a permanent member of the UN. It's a permanent member of the Security Council. I think is exclusively what we're talking about. Is that roughly correct?
Yeah.
All right. So I actually thought they were going to expel Russia. There was actual talk of expelling Russia, and here's the problem, which is yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Russia is still sitting on the Security Council.
Yeah, well, they can't kick them off the Security Council, but if they expel them from the UN, and there was talk of doing that early on, but now it's sort of the normalcy has set in. Everybody's used to there being a war, and it's just Russia being Russia, so why respond to it? I mean, we all remember early on when people got up and walked out when the Russian ambassador started talking. And it's like that was our opportunity, and neither Russia nor the U.S. should have nobody should have a permanent seat, nobody should have permanent veto power on or a permanent seat on the Security Council. It's meaningless that way. Commander's typing something probably derogatory towards me is going to be my guess, and then I'll ask him his opinion. Yes, Viper?
I think it must be quite awkward then discussing the war of Ukraine and Russia with the Russian, because obviously there's a huge security risk for the war. With the Russian ambassador sitting inside, that should be very awkward.
Yeah. Commander, is there any hope for the UN, do you think?
Nah.
It has its uses, we'll put it that way. I think, like the League of Nations, it was founded with very good intentions, but then politics, and when I say politics, I mean international power politics, dominated all the way the charter was written and interpreted, such that it basically left the UN more or less a spineless jellyfish.
And Viper, you don't think there's anything that's going to happen with that organization?
UN, all I know is I would love to steal the Land Cruisers that they drive here in Ukraine, because they actually V8 diesels and they're very awesome. So that's pretty much what I really want from the UN. Pretty much, that's it.
Are they roughly the same as I mean, you had said that I think it was you.
That's
the Red Cross. That was yeah. Terry.
The Red Cross vehicles are actually standing at that compound. The UN Land Cruisers at least comes to like probably 30 kilometers from the front line. But then nobody knows what they do there. But yeah, they do something. I don't know, to be honest.
Watching. All right. Let's see. It all adds up. Papa, that's $2 from Aussie T. Mitch Ashdown, just saying, 20 Canadian. Ani Yuki Chick, I think I got that right. Yep, $10. Slava Ukraine.
Jeroen Slava.
Papa Dutch, $2. Gunpowder has many uses. That I'm going to assume that's not a goat reference. I'm going to give that maximal charity. Linda Sow, 100 Australian. Thank you and all the heroes for their courage and determination. Bless you. Papa Dutch, Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, Zavzidi I Navki. Always, I'll get into that later. Papa Dutch, another $2. Don't worry about it, Nikki. We love. Did he just call me Nikki? It's not. My dislike for our live chat is definitely growing by leaps and bounds. Linda H, $10 for Viper's goat drone.
Oh yes. There we go.
No. It's already set. It's for defensive drones. It would be
cheaper. Way cheaper.
No.
$500, $600.
No. So we can't change where
we're going to set up like an entire assault force against that.
There's going to be
for next year. You're going to have everybody coming in, and we're going to be researching. Okay, how do we travel with arms? Because we're going to go take a goat out.
Your use of the word "we" is really concerning, Isandring.
The funny part is, we can travel with a goat, with a drone into Sweden any day, brother. There's no problem.
These are strictly humanitarian drones.
No. These are humanitarian, high explosive
humanitarian drones for goat relief.
Yeah, the goat relief fund. Of course.
So somewhere there's going to be a dad taking his daughter to see the goat. She's going to say, "Daddy, can we please see the goat today?" And the dad's going to say, "Sure." And they go up and she looks at it and says, "That's the most beautiful goat I've ever seen." And then the thing explodes in napalm and gasoline. That's your plan.
Never injure people. We'll do it in the midst of night.
I'm not saying you injure them. I'm just saying you break their hearts and scar them for life.
Listen, it's part of winter time. We're going to make a huge fire for them. The people are enjoy the heat. What's wrong with that?
Look up justification in the dictionary.
You hand out marshmallows, chocolate bars, and graham crackers so everybody can make s'mores around the burning goat. Then it will be a celebratory event.
Yes, and from that day forth, hence, they can light it up. I mean, I will at least give them Christmas, but by New Year it should burn, for sure.
Well, at least you're willing to, I mean, okay, so it feels like there's almost negotiation going on. It's like, you'll give them through Christmas, but by New Year's, okay.
If HPU comes and fetch me and take me to Sweden, please just tell my mom and dad I love them. That's it.
We must not allow a goat parity issue to develop between us and Sweden.
That's true.
This will be the next mandate coming down from the orange.
Oh God! As soon as Trump finds out about that goat, we are screwed.
That's okay. There's not much of love between Sweden and South Africa, so that should be good. It's not at the end of the world.
Yeah, but if Trump finds out about that goat, first of all, he's going to send the 101st Airborne into Sweden to take it out, just for fuck's sake, and because Sweden is the 52nd state. And then he's going to build an even bigger goat because it's like everything he's got to have, like, you know, the biggest goat. Yeah.
Might be gold.
Yeah, it'll be a gold-plated goat.
I mean, the toilet is gold. The goat might also be gold. So.
The sneakers are. Oh, it's all so let's see. $10 from Linda H for Viper's Drone Fund. $2. Papa Dutch. Oh, this is fun, and we are helping. Yeah, sort of. Maybe. Depends. Not if you're the goat.
According to certain definitions of help.
Yeah, according to some definitions of the word help. OCT, $2. Plus, Papa Dutch. Papa Dutch has been absolutely amazing. Papa Dutch, another $2. Every donation helps. Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And the live chat has just had a marvelous sense of humor about a goat that I take very personally and really care about, and it's okay. I mean, I understand. I'm just some guy on the internet, you know, but it's like, you know, I kind of thought the goat was a nice, sweet thing to do, and, you know, fine. Let's talk about World War III, or the end of the world life on this planet, since apparently everybody's just for burning things.
I've got an active mind, yeah. So I think. So now I'm thinking, listen, let's wager how long the goat's gonna last.
That's what we're gonna do next year, yeah.
That money again for Ukraine for aid, and so that's how I'm thinking. I'm like already got a campaign launched.
we're totally going to do that. We
need to.
We've had a few of those on the Discord, and I think we basically just need to, on the Discord, have a live bet going and it's got to be something fun and not. I mean, part of me was just like, will we actually invade Canada or Mexico? I think there's let me ask Commander this for real. What do you think is the chance we invade Mexico? And let me do a caveat with that. What we will say is we're hitting one of the cartels. The cartel is its own quasi-government, so it's the same thing as hitting a terrorist cell because we've declared them. I mean, it looks like. Do you think he's actually going to do that?
I think he may toy with the idea, but unless he gets his way with completely restructuring the military senior staff, he's not going to find people who are willing to go ahead with that, because it's an illegal order.
Oh, good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's kind of decent at making things soundly. I mean, Mike Pence. We need more. I can't believe I'm going to say this. We need more people like Mike Pence. I did just say that. Wow. Okay, I threw up a little bit in my mouth there when I said that.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to try. I mean, this is the same person who sent mom vans with unmarked personnel in it to abduct people off the streets of Portland and disappear them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was U.S. citizens. He was willing to do that to U.S. citizens. So.
And take them to secret courts that there were no records. And I
don't think if he does it, it's going to be in the nature of an invasion. It will be specific targeted raids against known cartel senior personnel and factories where they manufacture drugs or get them ready for shipping or whatever.
When I said it, well, that's why I put in that caveat, because what I was trying to suggest was it wouldn't be an invasion from our perspective, but it would be from Mexico's, I think. I think they would frame it that way.
We would declare it some sort of law enforcement operation. And
a special military operation? Sorry.
That's it, special military operation.
A special military operation.
Yeah. And, well, no, we'd have to call it law enforcement to avoid those issues. Now, the people who are sent in happen to be like SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force and those people. It's just coincidence that they happen to be in the military.
Good to know. The rule of law is really going to get a shakedown, I think, over the next 4 years. And
into a pretzel.
Yeah. let's see, 10 Canadian, Mitch Ashdown. I nominate Viper for GOAT team president. That goat is in so much trouble. I think if I had kept my mouth shut, that goat would have a much greater chance of surviving next year. $10 dunk on you, cause she's playing all night and the music's all right. More for the drones. Thank you. Dunk on you as always. CF 11 euro, 11.99 euro. I finally didn't confuse that with the pound. I don't know why I keep doing that. And that's just a number one, a big number one with a balloon. Oh, Papa Dutch, $2, goat hug. Finally, someone who understands. And Tracy Ocean Fire 777, $20. Screaming goat would be terrifying. Goat explosion. Exactly. I'm thinking of the people of Sweden and
blow it up, we'll burn it down. I mean, we don't want to harm the people around it.
Yeah, you're humanitarians. I get it.
We'll do it this way.
With liquid nitrogen and then drop like a bowling ball on it so it shatters everything.
No, we can just use thermite.
Just use thermite on a goat. Wow, that escalated.
Yeah, good luck putting that out.
Well,
sure.
Well, Ed, I did look up the history. So the goat has survived now 19 out of 60 times. 19 out of 60. So its odds are not great.
1961. That's a very, very good date because South Africa became a republic in 1961. So 19 versus 61, that sounds good. I think that you see, it's destiny aligning. That's the problem for this goat.
I think you're imagining things. So what people have done is, because they've been putting protection around the goat, they've been sabotaging it before it gets out. So like they mix seed in with the straw. So when the goat got out there, birds pecked it to death. It's just like, okay, that was really well done. So now they got to secure the goats. They started creating a baby brother goat in case the first one got burned down, and they started assassinating the baby brother goat, so the little goat would get burned down too. And then sometimes they'd burn them both down, and then they tried to remake the goat, and they remade the goat, and 6 hours later it was burned down again. The number of times it's lasted less than 12 hours, I think, is like 4. That town really does not like that goat.
But then they won't mind if we burn it down. I mean, there would now be. It will be little Nicky. Let Daddy go and show you the goat. Yeah.
Oh dear.
It must be a generational thing by now, for sure.
Yeah. Well, for 60 years. Yep. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. Did anybody have any last topics they wanted to talk about before we get to a couple of little wrap-up things? Anybody have any final things that they wanted to bring up? We talked about, like I said, at some point we'll talk about the Cuban Missile Crisis. But I think, I
wanted to touch on my favorite silly, the world almost ended situation.
Please.
It was in October of 1960, and a radar station misidentified some stuff in the air. The radar station was in Greenland, and it identified stuff over the polar ice cap, which looked like, in the operator's opinion, a large-scale Soviet missile launch. So they immediately reported it to NORAD headquarters, who placed the entire U.S. military on DEFCON 1 alert.
Oh.
However, doubts about the authenticity of the signal popped into somebody's mind when they said, isn't the chairman of the USSR, Nikita Khrushchev, in New York this week to address the UN? Would they really launch an attack against us when their premier is here? You're right. Oh. I hadn't thought of that.
It could have been a rogue general. They didn't know.
Coup d'état. They're just like, yeah, the number 2 guy was like, this is the perfect opportunity. 2 birds with one ICBM.
Oh, brother.
All right. So, well, let's see. Papa Dutch, I think I started the Who thing tonight. We won't be fooled again. It wasn't until Papa Dutch just like the. Oh, fuck! For fuck's sake.
Who are we talking about?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am required to read all of the live chats, but I don't think it says aloud. So I'm going to continue reading all of these super chats, but I'll be thanking you in my head. I'm not going to read them aloud. I don't think that's part of it.
You are absolutely correct. I just double checked. It does not say that you're required to read them aloud. It says required to read them live on air.
Yeah, I'm live on air and I'm reading them.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. YouTube can't punish us in any way, can they? They don't have a history of that kind of thing. Nah, never mind.
Go back to the transcript. That's a lot of work.
Okay, so I got a couple of things I am going to have to get to. Thank you, Titan. I got it. Let's see. Misty Full Toy, $9.99. Am I awful for claiming Mr. Viper? Am I awful for? Okay, now I actually do have a legit. Okay. Am I awful for imagining climbing Mr. Viper like a spider monkey? He's like 7 feet tall. Until victory, Slava Ukraine. No goats have been harmed in the making of this super chat. Well, finally.
Slava.
Aussie T 422. Match me quick. Last chance. Mitch Ashtown. $10. Is that remains of the goat in your fireplace? Don't bring the fireplace into this. I'm not going to be able to look at that. I'm not going to be able to have another downtime with that thing going on, not thinking about the goat. Oh, this is a mean strain tonight. This is wow. And LJ Boone, $4.99. Sorry, what?
Isn't the fireplace fueled by the bones of uncooperative chatters?
You are breaking up badly. I don't know. It may be everyone else was able to catch that. I was not.
I'll try again.
Yeah, there you go.
I recall you telling me at some point that the fireplace is actually run off the bones of uncooperative chatters.
Yes, it is. It's live chatters who misbehave, mods who fail to mod, and head mods who encourage this behavior. We've had more than a few during our 4 or 5 years on In Time, and it's their bones that have been fueling the fire. Thank you for reminding me of that fact, which has been true all the way up until now.
We're getting a full year's supply of firewood then.
Yeah, we're going to, oh my God, that fireplace will be going forever. No goats here.
You warm yourself with the straw of a goat. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, no. Listen, In Time respects goats. It's our audience that we light on fire. That didn't sound. I may have to reconsider that because the goat doesn't super chat. I can be bought.
That sounded way better in my head.
It sounded way better in my head. Exactly. I'm sorry. What was that, Viper?
No. Commander, I think tried to say something.
I don't. Okay. I don't want to hear it. I'm moving forward. Let's see. And then, okay, so LJ Boone matched Aussie T, and then Papa Dutch, $2. Goat actually produces delicious cheese. Exactly. Why would you want to hurt a guy? I don't understand. I want to say thank you to Mark Reed and to all of his audience who showed up. We got rated from Mark Reed's thank you. If you're new to In Time, I hope you'll see. This has been an awesome show. Go back, check it out. It's been a blast. I think everyone will tell you it's been a blast, except for the goat thing, which was just completely unnecessary and derailed the entire show. But at any rate, thank you, Mark, for bringing your audience over. Thank you all. Hope you guys will check out the rest of the show, because we are actually starting to wrap up now. But I really do appreciate it. So do remember to like, subscribe. That helps us out. And tonight we are doing what sometimes when we get in a guest that we really like, we will tell them that we will donate super chats to the charity of their choice. In this case, our guest Viper has chosen a fund that is raising money for drones for his unit in Ukraine. And what I'd like to do is read what I'm going to be the final super chat, I think, to read for now. And then I'd like to have Viper explain that a little bit. And I'm sure he also wants to say thank yous. I've been saying all the thank yous, but I'm sure he has things he wants to say. So I'd like to give him the opportunity to say that. Papa Dutch, $2. But they will also try to eat your clothes. Yes, goats do try to eat your clothes. One latched onto my daughter's hair and was just nibbling for a little while. You can't make me stop liking goats. Viper, could you tell us a little?
Fainting goats are pretty damn cool, though. You got to admit that I got to give props to the fainting goats. Yeah.
Oh, the ones that just pass out,
and they just fall over. They stiffen up and fall over.
Yeah.
All the hours of entertainment to be had. I probably should not be placed in charge of any fainting goats.
Yeah. Or just animals in general. Well, you do good with horses, but all right. Viper, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the drone fund, the drones, and again, anything you want to say to live chat? It's we're wrapping up here.
So yeah, guys, we are fundraising for the Maverick Pro 3T, which Nick has spoken about. This is the Maverick is actually reconnaissance drones. It's not drop drones that we're going to use on the goat or like that. It is also not like FPVs that we also can use on the goat. So what's nice about Maverick 3T is it's a thermal optic with a 4K vision lens. So what we use it predominantly for is actually shunting in between our area of operations and literally looking for enemy. So like in the older days, we used to send out a sniper and a reconnaissance person together in a pair. They will get an elevated position and they will actually spy on the enemy. But with thermal capability and thermal drones and thermal scopes, it's very, very difficult for us to do anymore and extremely dangerous to do. So that's one of the reasons why we use it. Yes, we also use it for artillery correction. So yes, we do use it for our artillery to be more accurate, being honest. And the other thing that we use it for is sometimes when we need to do either a recovery of a 200, or if we have to do an attack on a specific area of the line, we will use that drone footage and look at the rotation times, and we'll look at pretty much the pattern that is arising from the footage. And that will help us then to more carefully plan a recovery or attack, which literally just saves my men's lives. There's no two ways about it. There's no doubt about it. Those two drones, the reason why we asked for two and not one is that we need to keep them rotating on a 24/7, 365, literally every day, every minute, every second of a whole year. So normally that will help us with extra capability to actually, if we are able to get both of them, it will extend our area that we can actually look at, because multiple drones can run multiple routes. And help us then to have a better picture. That's in a nutshell what the drones are going to be used for. And it will be for the 422nd of the 42nd Brigade in Ukraine.
And I saw Canty did earlier a stream of someone using, I think it was a Mavic drone to identify landmines. So they were trying to figure out a way through a minefield. I guess what they usually do is they take a grappling hook, throw it out, and then drag it back. And if it blows something up, then, well, you found a mine. And if you get it all the way back, you found at least a part of a path. And they keep doing this, but they showed these drones going out, and a drone just found a mine, just hovers over the mine, and the guy knows it's there now. So he looks, yeah, there it is. They plant a flag. And they're like, okay. So
obviously with a 4K camera during daytime, depending on which area it is and I mean what the terrain is like. But normally what we'll do is what we call a low fly over the area that we want to move in, to have a look if there's any significant, because with the quality of the camera that the Mavic has, you could actually see disturbances, and you could see you would actually be able to see mines. Yeah.
All right, marvelous. Since we've had a couple other super chats, Papa Dutch, Mitch Anderson, Anderson. I'm getting a little tired, so it's a good thing we're going to be winding this down. Mitch Ashdown, with this, I got to do this in the right. With this stream, we can honestly say, goats now support Ukraine. Very much agreed. I think if you don't support goats, you're just, you're not giving Ukraine what it needs. That's what I say. I should not have gone there. I really, that was bad. I take that back. I completely retract that one. $2. It's been a pleasure from Papa Dutch, Aussie T. $5 Australian.
Yeah. Hold on. I need to say this.
Please.
You show a picture. Can you bring up that picture of the goat for me, please?
Yeah. And you may mute for a second. I will unmute you if you do.
In Sweden, the city of Gävle, yes, Gävle, erects a giant goat statue out of wood and straw for Christmas time. And
there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Now you can understand. If I see something wrapped with red, yeah?
Yeah.
The reason why I want to blow this goat up.
So red is just okay. So if I change the color of my house to blue, I'm okay.
Ukraine will wear green, yellow, and blue wrap around their arms. And our wonderful Peteras Vatnik assholes will wear red or white.
I cannot fault you for that. That is the best reason so far I've heard to go after the goat.
You can see it's a Vatnik goat. You see the
goat. It's a Swedish goat, but I can see you're highly trained. You see the red. I get that. It is not a Vatnik goat.
It's a Vatnik goat. He's got red wrapped around his legs. What do you expect me to do?
I think we have found a perfect way of extending the stream indefinitely. If people just keep super chatting, and you'll have to keep trying to read
talking
them.
About the goat. No, we're done talking about the goat. No more goat.
Okay. Then I want to say quickly. Sorry, I didn't get to. I want to say thanks, guys, for the amazing support for Ukraine. Thanks for standing with us. Thanks for being there for us. Sometimes being able just to have a chat about a goat makes a lot different in our lives. I mean, we don't always want to speak about war. Yes, it's an interesting topic, but it's sometimes just nice to relax with people that really cares for Ukraine, and we can have a discussion on random stuff. And Nick, thanks again for hosting and for having me. I mean, it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to be here and to be able to chat to you guys.
Thank you. We were delighted to be able to work it out. Again, thanks to Von Baumscheller for doing 90% of the work on that. And, that's, like I said, we have different shows for different things. This is what Downtime is about being able to have some downtime, being able to sit and shoot the shit about whatever the topic is. So I think this was a good show, and I really appreciate all of the audience who kind of also just make us look good by supporting, giving that massive support to Viper. So thank you very much to the audience. Thank you, Viper, for joining us. Thank you, Isandring. I don't know why, but because you've done nothing but throw me under the tractor trailer for like all night, but thank you, I guess. And thank you, Commander McMillan, as always. I am going to read these last super chats. Papa Dutch, it's been a pleasure. $2. Aussie T, $5. Thank you, Nick. Great stream with excellent guests. You did okay too. And thank you, Viper. Stay safe. Thank you very much, Aussie T. Deviant Outcast, 200 Swedish krona. Much love and respect from Sweden to our Ukrainian friends and neighbors. I admire you immensely. My heart and mind is with you. Slava Ukraine.
Slava.
And Papa Dutch last, what you want is one on the ground, one in the air, and one being repaired and recharged. So thank you all for your support. Please join us on the Discord if you want to learn more. And I think Viper's on our Discord, and you can say hi to him. I know Commander is, and Commander is very good about getting back to questions. He's immensely helpful. And if he doesn't know something, he'll usually research it for you and find out for you. So that's really good. And you can find 𝐒𝐿𝐴ndring, and unfortunately, I'm on the Discord too. So you may just get stuck with a goat loving, and I will go with the last one before we go to credits. Papa Dutch, $20. Oh my God. You guys are going to make it impossible to end the stream. This is, well, I suppose it's a good problem to have. Papa Dutch, $20. If you're not having fun, you aren't doing it right. Squadron motto of an F-14 squadron. And that's Papa Dutch for 20 and Blonde Bombsheller, $10. Thank you, everyone. And Viper, Have a good night, all.
Awesome.